frankness that he brings in the discussion is very well known, very proactive. Thank you so much, sir. I think very short time we took over as a secretary and what a budget that we see. Over to you, sir, for your address. We're very keen to look forward to your
President Vicky, Shri Harshvardhan ji, Pranav Satya, Chairman Vicky Taxation Committee, Anand Goenka ji, Jyoti Vij ji, C. Naina ji, Jyoti Sangrai. Distinguished members of trade and industry. I thought that we could have spent more time on questions and answers, because I think we've been hearing a lot about the speeches and one more speech, I don't know, could have been avoided. But let me also do the customary duty of speaking for a few minutes, and then of course I will not get into the details of the tax proposals. I believe both the chairman have elucidated several of those, and we have another session, a detailed session thereafter. I just put it a broad philosophy of where we are and what we intend to do, what was our thought process. The context is not all that rosy. And let's admit that geopolitical headwinds, last few years, geo-economic fragmentation, everyone is raising tariff barriers. It's no longer the situation that used to be one of those golden periods where globalization and other points were very slowly moving. WTO was slowly moving, people following, countries following the rules. There is a more like, you make your own rules and you stick to it, and obviously you could know that if you have a traffic square and you don't have a red light for even 2 minutes in Delhi, it's awful. I mean, you have it. So therefore, you have red lights which are being taken away, and obviously trade will be impacted. So we got to be ready with for these kind of factors. Positives, India has been on a very good macroeconomic situation. Last few years, we have worked very hard on that. Banking sector has been brought to a very good situation. Fundamentals are strong. All the bodies, IMF, World Bank, everyone assumes that India will be the fastest growing economy, large economy, also continue to be. But we can't take anything for granted. One, we need to sustain, and even many commentaries are there, we are trending towards the secular, our trend growth rate of 6.5%. But in order to maintain that as well, we need to work hard, because we have got headwinds. The second thing is our aspirations are also bigger. We have Viksit Bharat. An Honorable Prime Minister has said Viksit Bharat is not the vision of the government. It's the vision of 140 crore Indians. And unless and until it is seeped through in all of us, trade and industry, our workers, our farmers, our shopkeepers, our entrepreneurs, the youth, our women, India, our Indian governance, our governance system, officials, I think unless and until this particular thing is well grasped and absorbed, we may be just putting it at level of words, but in order to put the words into action, we need to actually, the path to Viksit Bharat has to be paved with concrete steps. And these concrete steps have to be taken contextually at taking the present economic context, but very well taking into mind where we are going. So you address the short run, you have some plan for the medium term, and you also have a vision for the long term. So these three things have to be kept in mind where we are going. And obviously, when we have our short-term issues, we do deal with that. But we also can't be narrowly focused in the short term to miss out the bus for the medium and the long term. Honorable Prime Minister said, overall guidance, we have to address the challenges, but we must also give relief to the middle class. So, Honorable Finance Minister has been very, very proactively involved. I can't tell you the number of hours she has spent with us in terms of detailing, in terms of working out options and others. Now, the thing about budget or any other, like there are so many chief executives sitting over here, we know that there are always competing imperatives. There is, decision making is never a thing that just do it. Is this the one? There will always be options, there will always be trade-offs, you have to weigh the trade-offs, you have to have your own gut feeling, and then finally you take a decision. So decision making is never a simple process in most of the time. And most of the time it's a process which involves working out trade-off and more so a union budget. So you have to balance the competing imperatives. We have to have a fiscal consolidation on the one hand because we don't want to be inflationary in our approach. If we try to stimulate when we shouldn't, it may end up in inflation and it will really reverse the very process of inflation control that we have been working at it. And we will be counterproductive. So the budget we have come out in terms of various things balances all these imperatives while we control the fiscal deficit and consolidation. We also have sufficient stimulus in the economy, a non-inflationary stimulus, which will promote savings, investment, growth. It will push incremental growth, work on demand side, work on supply side. And therefore, these whole budgets, if you really read it and see it through clearly, it will have several demand side measures, it will have several supply side measures, including on agriculture, including some of the fundamentals of where our CPI inflation is impacted. Food inflation, for example. It's a very core to our thing. And if we are not able to really address some of those structural supply factors, it will keep on hurting us year after year after year, and it will keep our interest rates high, year after year after year, which helps no one. It doesn't help industry, it doesn't help the middle class, it doesn't help because it ends up in higher EMIs, it doesn't spur growth. But then, if you have inflation, then you cannot have proper growth. You have to have inflation under control. So therefore, growth and inflation has to be linked together, keeping our exchange rate stability and macroeconomic stability in mind. So all these factors we have taken on board while trying to balance. So therefore, we have, the four engines: the agriculture, reform, MSME, investments, exports. And investment is not merely in physical infrastructure, but also human, in people. Investment in people, because skills are important. We need a skill force. We need to have entrepreneurial energy to be unleashed, not to be curbed. We have to support it. We must also support skill building, because we have to create jobs. We have to create jobs at every level. And the jobs have to be created, and these are productive jobs, not unproductive jobs. So jobs have to be created, so therefore we have to create, wherever we have the slack, we must remove the slack. Wherever we can raise productivity, we must do that. Our youth, we have to make them employable in the future skills. Industry has to do the job, government has to do the job, together we have to do the job. That's our budget's mission. So we have on agriculture, PM Dhan Dhanya Krishi Yojana in 100 districts. Very focused, 100 districts, low productivity, irrigation, post-harvest storage, crop diversification, productivity, credit access. Have a package, do it, make things, because these could be early hanging fruits. We have a rural prosperity and resilience program, very big program of rural prosperity, livelihoods is being conceived. Atmanirbharta impulses, focus on Tur, Purat, Masur. You know, we are saying, okay, you, to the farmers, if you wanted to have a contract, okay, I will give you this. We will take whatever you produce, at the MSP of course, but we will take whatever is produced. It's like a guarantee that if you sign off, you have a contract, if you are bringing in X amount of things, we'll pick up the entire one. So this is something which we are saying that, okay, we need proteins, we need pulses are going to grow, it's a pinpoint. So we must do something quite serious on that. Same thing on vegetables and fruits. Credit to Kisans. Cotton productivity, a very important issue, where we are saying that where is Brazil, where is India now? Brazil has leaped ahead in cotton productivity. So we have to do the catching up. So we have to increase productivity in cotton. It's a very, very important component of our entire supply chain. But the whole textile industry is dependent on a constant supply of cotton at reasonable prices. So we have a very novel idea, we have said India Post. India Post has number of, rural dark savers, etc. Now, a lot of things are done by emails now. So it's no longer, delivering the postal letter is not very important key thing. There are so many things can be done on delivering parcels. I mean, you have SMEs, you have SHGs. You need, courier services. The people have to move things. So we will be taking a massive modernization as a logistics organization of sorting, doing, and bringing those 2.5 lakh people in every village, that chain in order to see that logistics. You know that India logistic costs has been generally high. The last few years we've been working at relentlessly to bring the logistics as a percent of cost. It's not only the procedures, custom procedures, but it's infrastructure, it's containerization, it is freight corridors, it is double-decker trains, it is air cargo complexes, it is warehousing, the whole chain of housing, right from ships to this thing, multimodal transport. This is something which we are working on infrastructure, and slowly, our costs as a percent of GDP, it used to be 12% or so, logistics is coming down. That will add competitiveness to Indian industry. So we have, innovation. Of course, on the investment side, we have several reforms. Insurance is one of them, where we are bringing 100% FDI. Tax reforms have been alluded to, and tax reforms are both on the indirect taxes side as well as on the customs side. Regulatory reforms. We need to do a lot more on regulation than what we have been doing now. Exports. Digital public infrastructure. We're talking of BharatNet, trying to weave the banks and the customs and various other agencies and the DGCINS and the Commerce Ministry through a network, much like our own DPI, or like UPI system and so on, to BharatNet. This will be a very, very forward-looking and very procedurally as well as connecting people, connecting various agencies. So, I'm just giving you just a flavor. There is a lot that you can see in the budget if you get down there and do that. They will look small to you initially, but if you really look at the impact that it might have in terms of the liquidity, the fuel, the lubrication that the whole economy needs. Now, CapEx. So there is some stories yesterday, the CapEx we haven't done it. See, we are doing from the central government money 15.48 lakh crore of CapEx this year, we are proposing, not 11.2 lakh. There is another 4 lakh crore which is going to, as a grant for our grant to the states to spend, because that is not our asset. So I can't show in accounting terms in our CapEx. For example, how many, I don't know whether you, you are aware, how many schemes are running regarding drinking water all across the country, in every village. You'll be amazed if you visit rural areas, massive amount of money going into Jal Jeevan Mission. It's going into pipes, it is going into pump houses, it is going into the whole industries are there. The plants are being set up for the DI plants and other plants in order to supply that. So this is the money where 50% of the money comes from the center, 60%. Rest is there. So that money is also capex. We are showing this as a grant. So in the budget itself, we have given that number. So let's not talk about 11.29. That's a direct central capex. There is an indirect central capex where it's so 15.4. If we are able to do it, it's a very good capex if you really see. Therefore, there is nothing happening on capex in terms of